always go through this. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Be the Media Huntington. Tonight is Wednesday, February 21st, and my name is Jenny Lee. I'm one of your hostesses on the Huntington View. Tonight, I have with me, as always, Miss Dana.
Hi, guys.
Miss Lisa.
Hi, everyone.
And I guess, as always, we'll just jump right into it. So we have been having the most amazing weather. I think it's 70 degrees today.
It was gorgeous. Gorgeous.
It was very nice. It was very nice.
Yep.
Had to have the fan on.
I took a walk with my daughter yesterday and my brand new grandson out for a walk in a stroller at Sunken Meadow Beach.
Oh, that's nice.
And it was gorgeous. First time the baby got some nice fresh air outside.
That's
nice. Awesome.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people out walking. I went for a 4-mile walk up through the cemetery, Huntington Rural, almost 5. It was 4.6 something, but we walked all through that. Great weather for that. Great weather for birds. Great weather for eagle watching.
Yeah.
I'm about to say.
Yeah.
And don't forget your drones. Yeah, active drones, please.
So we had what was it last week or the week before that we were out recording everything in Centerport. No, I think it was just last week.
It was just last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we noticed very Captain Obvious out there, a bunch of photographers all pointed when we were just out there trying to get the skinny on the mill pond, which was a public hearing tonight, and Dana and I will talk to you about that in a bit. But back to the Eagles, which is so cool. There's been a lot of drama over the Eagles.
Yes, because remember
everything. Drones. Really?
We went there
and we
talked to a bunch of people who were taking photographs, and the woman got mad at us because we said we were from Be the Media, and she said, "Oh, it's going to be just like Newsday. And all the people are going to come and ruin our spot." And it turns out she was right, because now Suffolk County Police Department's been kicking people out of their parking lot as of today. The photographers now have to hang on the other side of the pond. And the guy who owns the chalet is up in arms, which I guess his visitors are too, because they don't want their rendezvous to be interrupted during the day. But all that is going on, and I'm really hoping whoever is successful in getting the Eagle Cam up there so that people can watch it from the comfort of their own home, and they will stop driving there and disturbing the eagles so that they don't end up abandoning their nests.
Right. Yeah, that would be really bad.
I mean, that'd be good if we could do that. I mean, but people, like you said, people always do what they want to do. And imagine that we all went there. We didn't mention where they were at all.
No.
Yet
we didn't have to, because Pat had already put it on.
Put it up. Everybody put it up. There's a Facebook page. People are saying delete it, but by now everybody knows. Yeah. So to yell at any one individual for saying where it is now is crazy.
Before we even got there, Patch put it up where they were. And right. That's why cars kept coming in, because Patch put up their location.
As we were there, tons of cars were coming in.
Yeah, but even though everyone else mentioned it, we still kept it to ourselves. We didn't mention it. We didn't mention. We respected. We respected what she said, and she said. Remember, she told us they're federally bird
animals.
She told us don't bring our drones. What?
And no drones. There's no drones.
What? I was like, lady, we don't have drones.
Well, somebody does apparently, and
somebody
let them try to ruin it.
Yeah,
it's everywhere now. Like you said, I've seen a few Facebook pages for it. It's unfortunate because they really are a beautiful sight, especially to people like myself who have never seen wildlife like that up close. My children have seen it, but I haven't because I'm scared. But it was nice I'm scared. It was nice to see them in their wingspan and everything. So it's unfortunate that it gets ruined by things like this, because you want to keep that's the purpose of living on Long Island. You want to keep some of these things like that.
Well, they've never been before, that this animal is not typical for this area. That's what makes it so amazing. And built a nest. They're going to have babies. two of them. That, I mean, and one American bald eagle can lay up to 3 eggs, unlike a chicken, which I know about, can lay only 1 egg every 24 hours. And without a rooster, you'll never get a baby chicken. But she has a male.
So we're gonna have some babies.
That's incredible.
So cool.
Babies.
I love it.
I like it. I enjoyed it.
So I'm feeling refreshed.
I wonder if Chad's feeling refreshed with his glorious shower. Probably tonight he needed one after that.
I can't. I'm so sick of this freaking shower.
We had to find a segue for shower. When you like dirty.
He probably had a stressful meeting, I'm sure, in that suit.
No, it's not even that. It's more about the absolute drama over 1,600.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's a damn shower.
And it was voted on by the previous administration, and they're all getting all over Chad about it.
Ridiculous.
Here's the thing. Here's my take on it. I could care less. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I don't have, it's not a big deal either way. If the man wants to be clean, he's not a small guy. So you don't, when you're a larger person, he's very tall and he has some, he has some meat on him. I'm sure he wants to be refreshed. I don't find anything wrong with that. What I don't like, especially on certain websites, certain blogs or certain Facebook pages, when people question it, I don't care if it was 2 cents, $2,000, $200, $2. If you pay your taxes and you live here, you have every right to question whatever they spend the money on. Whether we think it's trivial or not is not, it's not for us to say. What we think is a big deal, they may not think it's a big deal. You have to allow people the chance to voice their opinion without beating them up. I mean, the people on this particular page is so brutal.
But Dina,
disgusting.
You've been to the town board meeting. You've seen how it works. How many of the hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of comments of those people think even showed up to a town board meeting to say, I don't agree with this resolution that's on this thing tonight, and I'm going to speak out against it, because I got to tell you, it's the same cast of characters all the time at these meetings. Oh, and speaking of which, guess who's back?
Back again.
Oh, your friends.
Oh, Daniel Carpenter. Everybody loves the Clog Man. Everybody loves him. And
I don't think the board loved him today.
Well, what's funny? There was we were going to cover one of them, and Dina, you're going to attest for this. I was able to figure out what was actually going on at the Mill Pond before the town board meeting tonight, and the town board meeting tonight didn't really reveal much. But what we didn't realize was the Mill Pond is asking for permissible use from the town. The town owns, remember we established our last video that the town owns the pond, and that there was such an interesting story there that dates back into the 80s. We didn't jump into it, but little did we know that this was going to happen. So what I think Daniel established tonight is that the owners of the Jellyfish have been using the parking lot not in the correct way. If you have to lease it at this point, because it should be returned to the pond, the parking lot was built illegally. So anyways, if anybody's looking to find out which one we're talking about the public hearing that involved the Mill Pond. I believe it was last week. We did a drive through town, and we went over to the Mill Pond, and we brought you down to the site that we're talking about. We were standing on the parking lot saying, why would the town want to use this for parking?
Yeah.
What would be the benefits?
And
you can hear me say, what would the purpose be? Because in the summertime, okay, but what would they get from that? I mean, it's not an ideal spot. So now we know.
Yeah. We're missing something to the story.
But we found that one piece. It's actually the restaurant that's there that wants to valet the cars down there and rent it from them. However, it brings into question now the legality of the parking lot at all, how it came to be, and rehashes why the town owns the pond.
And then they said,
should we go back to Daniel? you want to watch him, or real quick, I can bring us.
Wait, before you put him on, Daniel made a good point that I did not even realize, that probably a lot of people don't know. They filled in part of that pond to build the so that's like, so you ordered, so you destroyed Mother Nature just to build your patio. I think when people buy property, they have a right to say what goes on in it. I'm sorry. I just think that that's how it's supposed to be.
Or you built a parking lot to support somebody who, don't forget, who owns that property?
The guy with the...
Ralph Calamucci also owns the Thatched, and they're selling it. And his sister works at town halls, public safety. So who knows what really did happen there? But somehow Jellyfish came to use a parking lot that never had a secret, never went through the proper process. So let's run over to Daniel and let him say it, right?
Okay.
Hold on, let me gosh, I thought I had it together.
And they have a big dumpster. They have a big dumpster in front of the cottage now, the Thatch cottage.
Really?
Oh, that's
I was over there.
I was
over there on Saturday.
We have to go back down there, and then there's another place we have to go also. But
okay.
Thank you.
Can you hear
Dr.
this?
Knight. Thomas Knight, followed by Dan Carpin.
Oh, darn.
Harbor Hill Drive, Huntington, New York.
There he goes.
Today, I went on the town's website, property records, typed in the Suffolk County tax map number for this property, 04-45-1-046-002. Came out, no results found. What does that mean? Does anyone tell me what that means? Does anyone tell you what no results found means when I typed in the tax map number to the town's property records? I'll tell you what it means if you're not going to answer the question. The parking lot was put in illegally without permit to the town trustees' land. The town should send its surveyor down there, survey the property, put up a fence, and prevent anybody from parking there because it belongs to the town. The parking lot was put in illegally. Check it out. You got to go through secret review. Illegal construction. And because it's illegal construction, you're enforcing a law, and enforcement of the law doesn't require secret review. You can put up the fence and then rip out the parking lot and give the bay bottom back to the clams and scallops, which really own it. The colonial patents defined the town underwater lands. Go read the colonial patents and find out what they're all about. Second thing I want to tell you, this is a town board meeting, but the town board does not own the land. It's owned by the board of trustees. The legal notice for this is defective because when I used to go to the town board meetings, they would have I would open up separate hearings for board of trustees lands. Who didn't do their legal work in checking that one out?
Right.
And the worst thing the town ever did was term limits. I've been going for town board meetings for almost 48 years, and I have an institutional history of all the mistakes that everybody makes. So you got a little mess on your hands. You got to clean this one up. Anyone have any questions?
No.
No word.
Need a little more than Purell this time.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
He's retired right now, though.
He said Frankie's great place retired now.
But what are you going to do now? Research it and find out what I did, what I found was correct?
I did take notes.
I could take notes. Need more than that.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
He's right though.
He is
as
right.
crazy as he sometimes with his approach and his presentation, when it comes to secret law, he is dead on balls accurate. And that's why they hate him.
Right. So what do you think they're going to do about it?
What he's talking about in regards to the Board of Trustees, he's 100% dead on balls accurate.
Yes.
No doubt. If you understood what this meant and how they've been operating outside of the premise of the basic laws for so long.
Yes.
This is something we need to delve into, just completely separate. But it's an important issue that undermines everything within local government.
So what do you think they'll do?
I don't know. I mean, I'm still waiting. I've gone to, how many town board meetings have we gone to, right? And we hear the same people speaking about the same public hearings that have been scheduled, but they haven't, I believe they have 90 days, something like that. I'll have to find out for sure. But they have a certain amount of time to have a vote after the public hearing has been held, and then move forward and vote yes or no. And during that period of time, it may be 90 days, but they could vote within 30. But it's up to, so there's like a minimum and a maximum. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they can act anywhere in between that period of time on any issue.
So this needs to be revisited within 90 days at least.
Well, all of it will be. You'll see as we continue to go. Some like, what was the one issue tonight, Dana, that seemed to be the most prominent to you?
The Cuba Hill issue with the new facility for the people with disabilities.
Kids Plus.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think a lot of people don't have a full understanding of, unless you're in the area. I only was made privy to the situation because I've gone to the town board meetings, and that has prompted me to then go further to look into it. If there was a lawyer there today for the person that is building the property, and she basically told the board, it doesn't matter what you say, it's going up whether you like it or not. She had her facts together. The thing that irritates me the most is that Chad is a lawyer, Mark is a lawyer, Ed is a lawyer. You have 3 lawyers up there, and between the 3 of you, I'm not saying we weren't on trial, we weren't in the judge's chamber, so I'm not saying that you should go back and forth. But and then how many town attorneys do we have? You didn't have someone to fact check this young lady. You had
the town attorney up there. You had 3 attorneys, the town attorney, and a staff of 36, which does not include outside counsel. Continue.
So it's like all of these people and this one woman basically came and said, we're going to do what we want to do regardless. And if you try to stop us, we'll use the Disability Act, or we'll say that you are discriminating against people with disabilities. And it's kind of hard for this town to have any suits with, anybody with disabilities or anything negative, because they've already had so many lawsuits already and won because the town had to settle. Yep. So the town is walking on very thin ice. And to me, as a citizen, somebody who's in the community, it doesn't make me feel good to know that, hey, we have all these attorneys, we have all these lawyers, and between the 2 of you guys, the attorneys and the lawyers, because one doesn't go to court, the other, that's a whole nother set of things, but because they like to use wordplay. So between the lawyers and the attorneys, you couldn't come up with something to fact check what these people are doing. So now you kind of put yourself in a position where it's like you can't really do anything.
There's also another woman who seems to speak every town board meeting. And I'm riding on the ADA here because you've seen her. We've all seen her. And her name is Ellie. And Ellie gets up and she speaks about the handicap parking. That we are below the national ADA standards by 50%. We are parking for handicap requirements. It's below the American Disabilities Act by more than 50% in this town because we already have a parking issue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound cruel, but they can't tackle the handicap issue until they tackle the majority of people issue.
Absolutely.
We can't park.
But it goes to show you with all the lawyers that we have on staff,
Yeah,
and you have no understanding for violating people's personal civil rights, and B, the American Disabilities Act, which is just, and we were under Democratic rule for how long? The claim is always with Democrats. They represent minorities. We have to agree here. So people with disabilities would fall under that. They've been out of compliance for so long already with this.
So that tells you a lot. If the Democrats, I always have a problem with who represents who, because in all honesty, they represent themselves, but that's another story for another. That's my
friends.
Yeah, that's another story for another topic. But if they ran it and they didn't make sure that it was adequate parking for the handicap, that should tell you how much they really care for the minorities in the community. I mean, come on. Everybody did what they wanted to do, and now we can't park anywhere. So sucks, but
no wonder we're below national standards. There's no parking for everybody.
There's no parking for anyone.
The ADA at this point, no.
Yep.
I mean, that study alone should speak volumes for the parking issue.
The thing, and this is a problem this is another issue that I have. We have so many things that we could be focusing on, yet we had over how many comments for a freaking shower?
A shower, and not even like a nice shower. It's a prefabbed, and it's in the corner, right? It's like a camping shower.
Let's be honest. I mean, let's be honest.
Not like the guy can take it with them. It's going to be used for supervisor after supervisor after supervisor.
$1,500 shower, really?
And it really irritated me after a while. Well, Chad's cheerleaders don't make it any better because they feed the fuel to the fire, which is so annoying because he's so not like that. But that's another story. And these people, when they made these comments about the shower, now I am all for saying what you want to say. I'm for that. But Chad is a very basic person. I tend to doubt that it's going to be marble floors, gold-plated. I don't think he's never appeared. And let's be honest, I'm not a fan of the new administration for their policies, not personally, just for their policies and how they conduct themselves. I can't see him going out building this luxurious shower just for him to get in and get out. I honestly don't see that. If the man wants to be clean, I'd rather smell someone that is pleasant than smell someone who's been sitting around all day and now you smell like sweat and funk. Did
you read the one comment? The original poster, the troublemaker, the professor. One of his comments said that Chad ordered something off of Amazon and it wasn't from Huntington. Oh my God.
What?
He ordered something on Amazon and it wasn't from Huntington. Woo! What an idiot. Oh my, I'm sorry. What an idiot.
So what? These people have, and like you said, Jenny, where are the people at the meetings to voice these things?
You see me, Dana, you're over on the other side. I know we don't sit together so that we have a pure show free of, the groupthink type thing. But you see me, I'm looking around, I'm looking to see who's in there, and it's the same usual suspects. Yep. It's the same, maybe 30
all the time.
Maybe 36, 37, 40 people, if I really wanted to round it up and include people who have to be there.
Yep. And I just want to say, the reason I couldn't make it tonight, I had all intentions of it, but I had to babysit my baby grandson.
And you were going to live stream.
But I wanted to live screen while I was on my iPad there, but I couldn't. And I didn't know if it was just me or if there was a problem, but I went to all the links that I was supposed to go to, and everything I pressed, nothing was there for me to click on for live, for a video. It was all just the text.
I tried to
nice, but I tried to catch it on live, but I couldn't. So
I wonder if it's just the meetings at 2 that are live. Is maybe it just the meetings at 2 that are live? Maybe that's the ones that are live?
I can click over now and bring you another one. As a matter of fact, there's a young lady I'd like to go ahead and highlight. If that's okay?
That's okay.
Dina, you're going to know which one this is. I love that she brought up. She researched so deeply. Her name is Christine Kuhn, and she researched so deeply that she was able to find fault lines and earthquake moments, and I think she's totally worthy of us giving a highlight to her this evening. It just you got me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Good evening, Supervisor Lupinacci and members of the town board. My name is Kristen Kuhn. I am a resident of Fort Salonga and a member of the Fort Salonga Property Owners Association. I am here to discuss the planned development at Indian Hills Country Club. As you know, an application was submitted under the existing R40 zoning to build 98 townhomes in addition to keeping the golf course and clubhouse operational. I wanted to point out 3 inaccurate responses the developer provides in their applications to the town of Huntington. First, separate from the EAF, which is the environmental assessment form, they have requested several tree permits. In the tree permit application, it asks if the property is within 100 feet of wetlands. The developer responded, no, this is untrue. There are 2 documents that I have included that have been submitted to the planning department regarding freshwater wetlands on Breeze Hill Road that are within 100 feet of the property. Second, the EAF application asks, will the proposed action result in a substantial increase in traffic above present levels? The developer answers no. We disagree, since these 98 units would effectively double the size of our neighborhood. Third, the EAF application asks, are there any unique geological features on the project site? The developer says no. One cluster of the units, 42 proposed units, will be only feet away from a 300-foot ancient fault line with a recent history of instability. In a 1906 report, the United States Geological Survey stated that the landslide on the Indian Hills Country Club property was the largest landslide on Long Island. This land already has a clubhouse, parking lot, fully operational golf course. To reiterate what Bill Berg stated in the February 6th meeting, Fresh Pond, Makama Preserve, and the Long Island Sound would all be detrimentally affected by the proposed development. As it stands now, the land is already producing more nitrates than a typical R40 developed land. Aside from the nitrates, there are high level of phosphorus, according to the VITA statistics from Nelson and Pope, an average of 1.75 milligrams per liter when the normal range is only 0.008 milligrams per liter. There is also a projected 37,250 gallons of additional sewage disposal that the townhomes will provide. As you can see, maintaining the golf course and adding townhomes would exponentially exacerbate the environmental problems. Also, in the February 6th meeting, a moratorium was requested of any major development in the area studied by the long-awaited Crab Meadow Watershed Report until it is published and reviewed. We ask again for a moratorium on development in the Crab Meadow Watershed area until this report has been published and analyzed. We will be providing a letter as well from Civics United of Huntington to the town board members this week. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're so cool.
So she was on point till she got to the end.
I got it to accept it, right, and we're going to dig on that. But ladies and gentlemen, that is what's called doing your friggin' research on a parcel of property. That's what it is when you bring in the sewage numbers, when you bring in the land mass numbers. That's what it is. But when she brought up the United Civics of Huntington.
And you know, I know that Mr. Rockline is your friend, and I understand that you like him.
I was upset tonight. I almost want to go show that piece too. When you're going to fault somebody for not going to places and speaking out, but those places don't provide a platform for people to speak out except for a Facebook page that nobody wants to be a part of because they always fight. He brought up Huntington Matters as a legitimate group that doesn't hold public meetings, the United Civics of Huntington, and Greater I mean, how can you stand up there and say, I'm representing 3 groups right now as one person?
And even more so than that, he said that he speaks for the civic groups of Huntington. What?
Yes.
I know that I belong to a few civic groups in Huntington. We've never seen the Greatest Civic Huntington. We never seen Huntington Matters. We never seen the United Civics. We never seen any of it. And we hold meetings every month of the same date, and we don't change, and it's public. And we've never even been consulted once by the United Civics of anything. And we're the oldest civic group that's here. And you never consulted us. So how on earth, how dare you say you speak for us when you haven't even bothered to come to us? We don't know what you're going through. We know what you're going through because I go to the meetings and then I report back. But other than that, you don't extend your hand. So what united? What are you talking about? You don't stand for all of us because you don't even know all of us.
Oh, yeah.
I was so annoyed. I mean, if you want to...
It's similar to a lot of things. Yep, it's bullshit. Do you want me to go to the clip? I got it right.
Because if you want to... Go ahead. Yeah. Let's shoot to it.
I got it. Hold on. Boom, right after this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Robert Rockline, followed by Richard Basia.
Good evening, Supervisor, members of the Town Board. Robert Rockline here tonight on behalf of the Civics United of Huntington, for a change, speaking solely for them. And as doing so, I'd like to echo Ms. Kuhn's previous comments on behalf of the Fort Salonga Association for the Indian Hills proposal. It's a great concern to all of the civics in Huntington, mostly for its environmental concerns, obviously, but also developmentally. It may be a little too much at the end of the earth up there, traffic-wise and such. But getting back to the Civics United, on behalf of the Elwood Taxpayers Association and Preserving Elwood Now, I have to agree with the majority of the previous speakers regarding the Kids Plus proposal for Cuba Hill Road. None of us in civics received any community outreach whatsoever on this. Apparently there were some mailings to homeowners and little one-on-one or two-on-two meetings type of thing, but nothing else. So this, we believe it's certainly a laudable cause. We're not going to deny that. It's a necessity both here and regionally, but this may be the case of, again, the right thing in the wrong place. Part of our mission in Civics United is to kind of network with the various hamlets out there, the various jurisdictions, and to kind of see where something like this may be a good place for it to be, to not impact the community surrounding, to have it prosper and be productive. We're not NIMBYs, as somebody else mentioned, and I certainly side with the previous speaker. Having children, it's a definite need, but we need to have a little more dialogue about where certain things go at certain times. We'd like it to be examined. We're willing to insert ourselves in the process, and certainly the civics in Elwood, both of them, are happy to get involved. So we ask the developer, the owner, their attorneys, and anybody with the building to reach out to them at their earliest convenience. Thank you.
Well, let me just say this. You know, everybody always gets up in arms about the NIMBYs, okay? And NIMBYs is not in my backyard. I'm sorry, and I'm sure I'll receive a lot of flack from this in my inbox, but it's not so bad to have a NIMBY. You can't have everything in your backyard. How about that? That's number one. Number two, you can't say, oh, we're not a NIMBY project, but we just have to make sure things are put up in the proper place at the proper time, using the proper amount of whatever else he said. Okay, AKA, that's a NIMBY, okay? Not in my backyard, just FYI. It just annoys me when you go in front of people and you live stream it. So let's say somebody who doesn't really know, and they might just pick up on this particular live stream for the town. They might get the inclination that this one person is actually speaking for every civic group that's in this town. So the census may be that this is how the town is feeling.
I agree.
I don't think that's accurate, because I'm quite sure everybody feels differently. You know, when I heard the price today of this particular settlement, it's $300,000 per family.
You're buying your kid a house.
That's a house.
You're buying your kid a house who otherwise would have to find somewhere else out of state to live. There's a waiting list of 15,000. There's only going to be 8 people on the property. But aside of supporting it or not, let's get back to the Civics. He got up saying that he was representing Civics United of Huntington for a change, and then went on to say Elwood taxpayers, preserving Elwood now.
Fort Salonga, something else.
No, and Huntington Matters, that he agreed with Fort Salonga. Meanwhile, I think
still mentioning Fort Salonga.
I've heard from other people that Huntington Matters backed out of this umbrella and didn't want any part of it for whatever reason. But I in earnest, I've heard that from one of their board members.
I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I always heard that the big man of civics who tries to run everything, or maybe is successful at running everything. I don't know.
He wasn't Dana.
Is Stephen Scuchis. Where is that man?
Dana, do we have to do this every town board meeting at this point?
I've never seen him at a meeting.
Stephen, what is he? The man behind the curtain?
What is he?
I've never seen him, and honestly, you know, I have to definitely.
No, I haven't seen him in a long time. We've seen him, but not never. Yeah. But it's been.
I haven't seen him, and he doesn't really do anything. I've actually removed. We once sat on the same board, and I actually removed myself from that board because I can't be on a board with somebody like that. You know, when I do a project, I take it seriously. I'm not in it to have my name somewhere. I'm not in it so that you can know my face, because if you know me, and even on this show, I let you know Jenny could do all that. I'm more behind the scenes. I'm more like the person with the facts. Let me get this. Let me do that. I don't like all that attention, you know, so I'd rather just be behind the show. But I can't even deal with him behind the show because he's just so arrogant. We were at a board meeting together, and he once brought up the fact that Jenny was arguing with him, and he brought that up during the meeting, and he was trying to throw cheap shots. And I was like, are you kidding me? We're here. We signed a pledge to go over the facts of this meeting. This particular board has nothing to do with what's going on with you and Jenny or how I feel about you personally. So he's supposed to be this big man. He didn't want anything in town, yet now he's on a board, and you don't see him anywhere.
Interesting.
Yet you have more representation than Donald Trump because he is the president.
Other people are coming through, and they're like, "We're a part of the United Civics of Honey. We're not part of the United." They're stronger when they're not, because most people are in the know that you have more grit if you stand in your own worth. You can't come in and umbrella this. You can't. What do you think? You are not the great negotiator of this time.
You're not a good negotiator, period.
You're not even there to
negotiate. Period. So
you have to. It amazes me that they continuously, time after time, send this man up, and he vouches for them. And like I said, to someone who's not involved, they may actually think that he speaks for everyone, and he doesn't.
I love him, and I think he just wants to do the right thing by this town. And he believes that if he has that wall of perceived support behind him, that it makes him bigger. But I think people need to start to realize that you're bigger when you stand in your own worth.
I don't see how you're going to... What support? You're one person. You don't have anybody behind you. So what support is there? And how many towns...
your credibility when you give this illusion of group support when you don't have the real structure of being a real group. We've been talking about... There was the shooting that happened in Florida. And, there's been a big response to it. There was a moment of silence, town board meeting. But one of the things I had said is we needed to take it off social media and get it back into. So I put it out there, and now I have a lot of people coming over to my house, and I'm a little worried. But it's always going to be good. No, I think sitting down in groups like these and getting back to human contact is really the key to getting back to building great communities, because we've gone too far into the digital age and we've lost a piece of that. Like, we're having meetings online.
I would agree. I would agree with you.
Well, what about the going back to the civics? Where when you Jenny had the Greater Huntington Civic Group, I remember going to the meetings at the VFW, and I loved those meetings because we got out, the community talked, over a cup of coffee, good conversation, and then Stephen did what he did and whatever. But even with all the Civics United that he claimed to have taken over, where are the meetings? Where are the meetings? Where's the community conversation?
It wasn't about telling people how to think. It was about people being heard. That's where the heart of it disappeared. That's where it fell apart.
Yeah.
And Steve is not the great uniter. He's not.
Oh, I'd like to see where these meetings are. How come you don't have monthly meetings every other month?
We have them. We have them here. This is where we have them now.
Now this is it. I know.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry. Let me just say this. I'm very sorry to our audience that watches us. I may seem a bit distracted tonight, but I do have a sick child that I'm nursing simultaneously while doing this live stream. So if you see me turning my head 500 times, it's not because I'm not paying attention, but he's only 6. So
sorry.
I'm taking care of him and doing this as well. So that's what I'm doing. But go ahead. I just didn't want them to think I was doing something else.
No, you're fine. We knew.
But I agree with you guys. I don't know what to say about this because I feel like, it's just crazy.
Doesn't matter what you say, you're wrong. You're wrong to someone. It doesn't matter what you say. And that's why we need to stop saying and we need to start listening. And
exactly.
That's the important thing. We need to get together and we need to hear each other.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's why I'm just like, I don't understand. Let's all do the get together and talk and listen to everybody.
And bring our children. Let them play together.
Let them get to see each other.
And let them hear what we're saying. Like, this is about them. They should be involved,
And speaking of the children, this is what I wanted to say because, it's not often that somebody pulls my coat on something and I have to sit back and say, you're right. And I have to be honest about it. Someone sent me a message on my inbox, and we all know that I'm a huge fan of diversity. You can take a look at my family and see that we are extremely diverse. With that being said, the question was, you're always talking about diversity. We know what you're like, but how many of your white friends do you have play dates with? How many of your white friends do you entertain outside? Like, do your kids play together? So you speak of diversity, but you don't even practice what you preach. That was kind of true. And I didn't like it. And of course, immediately I snapped back like, you don't know my life. Shut up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm serious. I did snap back, but that's another story. But when I sat down and I became, more calm, it was true.
Today's day and age, you have to, I'm going to tell you, it's not that I don't have time for my friends of color. I don't have friends. I don't have time for any of my fucking friends. I have time for nobody. I don't have time for myself. Like,
that's true.
So,
that's true too. That's true.
Where I shouldn't need to feel guilty about not having my real friends. I pick up the phone, I talk to them, and have a conversation just like it was yesterday, no matter what. Nobody has to make excuses. I'm there for you when you need me, but I don't make excuses for why I couldn't be. That's me, true friendship.
That's right.
I don't know. I just felt the way. I mean, when it was brought to me, I couldn't, really deny it. But at the same token, Jenny, I do get what you're saying because you're one of the few people who have actually been inside my house. My kids, my family, everything pretty much that a friend of mine would know. We don't really have time. Yeah, we don't really have time to do anything but what we're scheduled to do. So it's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yep.
And that's everybody. We're not alone. Everybody's in the same boat because everyone we talk to everybody's so overscheduled with everything.
Yeah.
Did we forget to mention that we have to work?
Yeah.
To pay our astronomical bills?
Yeah. It's
bingo.
That's a huge chunk of time.
Yeah, it is. But you got to take when people bring things to my attention that are factual, I have to acknowledge it and I have to say, you have a point. I mean, it was true, I'm not going to say that I'm going to go out and start the Rainbow Coalition. I'm not saying that, but I am going to make a conscious effort of just trying to practice more of what I preach and everything. So like you suggested, Jenny, bring the kids over when you have these things. So when we're doing something like that, we could just bring them along so that they could understand and really get a concept of what it is to really work together with everyone.
Well, not just that, when they grow up, they'll be like, I used to hang out with you when we were such and such age, and our parents used to get together and talk about how to make us not die, that kind of crazy shit.
How to protect us from mass shooters. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but we have to
think about
teach our kids that.
How many times over the last 4 or 5 years that we've been chatting have I said, just, hey, come on over. I'm like that all the time. Something happens, come over. It's an open house. I've done it when I was in the middle of it doesn't matter. Yes, my house is dirty, but we live here. We're not a model home. It is what it is.
It's a lived-in home. And I think anybody who has children and you're not a 24-hour, maid, your home is going to look lived in, and I think sometimes people forget that and they say all kind of crazy things, but that's exactly why I don't have everyone in and out of my house, because if you want to get down to something and you want to talk about something, it shouldn't matter how I look or as long as it's nothing ridiculous, then you should be okay with it. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be about how someone's house looks.
So maybe we all need to start hosting these evenings and inviting, hey, I'm having an open house tonight. Bring your kids, bring you this, bring you that. Let's talk about what's going on instead of fighting about it online.
I mean, you did the first one. You're very brave. So I'll follow your footsteps on this because I don't know how this is going to turn out because it got some little wackadoodles.
I'm going to get a sandwich. I'm worried.
Yeah, I'm just like.
People coming. Wait.
That's why I'm just like, okay.
All right. So.
But, it's a good idea. I appreciate it. And I did like the fact that the town board had the moment of silence. When they do things like that and they mention especially things like this, it allows us to know that they are human and that they do, they are mindful of things that are going on outside. And it's not like they're in this glass bubble, because in previous administrations, it was almost as if it was ruled as a dictatorship under one particular person, and that was it. There was really no outside influence unless you were one of, the good guys that they considered to be the good guys and one of the good old boys. So it was nice to have a board to sit down and acknowledge it and to, give it the moment of silence in the respect that it was due. So I did appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. I did too, because it's definitely on everybody's minds. I know I'm going to my next Board of Ed meeting. I'm going to, this has been such a challenge for me doing this show, putting myself in a position of listening. Believe it or not, I think we all listen more than we talk. We only have an hour that we really discuss this, but it takes so much listening to bring this hour to everybody.
Yes, it does. It does. It takes a lot. And people don't really understand the back work of the actual looking up things, the actual talking to people, actually speaking to them, not texting them or emailing them, actually going face to face. And sometimes we don't have the same views, and sometimes we don't even particularly care for the people that we have to interact with, but we do it because it's important.
It is
You know,
important.
when we do what we have to do to make sure that things get done. And I think it's I think it's something that it was well worth it, and I think it's something that the town needed, and we still need.
I think the only thing we didn't cover was the smelly smell.
On Birchwood.
Oh, the only other thing that was like a big deal at tonight's town board meeting was the sewage treatment plant at the Apex Nursing Home on Birchwood.
Oh,
Dana, that's by you.
That is by me. And what I will tell you is not only is the smell horrendous, especially in the summertime, but the amount of traffic that is on this. Okay, where this particular nursing home is located, you have Melville Road, and then you have Bradbury. Bradbury is, of course, off of Greens Hills, which is off of Pigeon Hill. So you have everybody zooming down Green Hill, turning onto Bradbury, then darting down to Birchwood. They often run the stop signs. What the gentleman said was that you can't have your kids play. It's true. You cannot have your children outside. The ambulance once they drop their patient off, they are outside smoking. I was coming home the other day and it was such dense fog, and I guess a dense fog goes with a dense head, because this gentleman decided to stand outside and smoke with dark color. I mean, I didn't see him until I was like literally on top of him, and he's smoking a cigarette, and I'm like, first of all, you're in a blind spot, so no one's going to expect you to be there. And then you're outside smoking a cigarette. How smart is that? I don't think that's too wise. And he was correct when they had those picket signs. They're all over the place. So now we got to have this traffic and that traffic. And then some of the nurses or whatever it is that works in that particular nursing home, they park their cars everywhere.
Yeah, they were saying if you go down parking on Manor Road and there's no like these people in their homes, I think that should be our next field trip.
Okay. Yeah, you should be. Yeah, I mean, it's over here.
My grandmother
died. Let's give people a lay of the land so they understand what's going on over there.
My grandmother died in Birchwood Nursing Home, but what are you talking about? A smell? What?
It smells. It's like the sewage. They have cesspools.
Yes, but there has the thing that Suffolk County is pushing is that whole on-site sewage treatment plant. People don't realize what that really means, having it on your property.
No bueno, as my son would say. Yeah. No bueno. No, that's not good. It smells really awful. And even if you have a bit, I mean, a bit of humidity, it will smell to the highest of heavens, and you will want to gag when you go out. Imagine the smell of a cesspool when it's overflowing.
No, yeah, I know.
Pretty gross.
And then you're going to go into that and you're just like, oh God, no. What is going on? Is that my cesspool?
Has it just gotten worse over the years? Because I don't remember it being like that ever.
I think well,
dog.
It's crazy. It's been a few years since we've lived here, 13, 14 years, and I can recall it smelling for a number of years. I will say as the years increase, it seems to get worse and worse.
No idea.
And I know for a fact the intersection between Birchwood and Bradbury, and when you turn on to Birchwood, it's horrible because my son's bus stop is there, and you see the cars fly past the stop sign constantly.
Yeah, I know that.
So, I mean, they really need to do something about that. And it's funky.
Wow. Yeah, we should definitely take a field trip there.
And to Cuba, and to the Cuba Hill, because I don't think everybody really has a full understanding. A lot of feedback that I got back from the last one that we did and we showed the excerpts as we were going, was that people don't really know exactly what we're talking about. And I'm one of those people. At times I don't really always know, because I've lived here, but I haven't ventured out around here. I've always gone to the city. Yeah. So it's a lot. So if we could, do things like that, I think people would appreciate that. So we could show them where it's at, what we're talking about, and then not as blindsided as they, are at this point in time.
No, that was a great episode, the one we had last week. I hope people go back and they review it. It was a really fun. We did a great drive around town in many different areas. We brought you to the site of one of the public hearings tonight, the Mill Pond, the Mill Dam area, and you see the eagles for a second, all the photographers out there. We definitely put a lot of effort last week into getting a lot of stuff on video for everybody.
Yes.
And if anybody that's watching tonight, or when they do watch us, when they catch up, if there's any place that they want to know about or want us to visit, show them, learn, educate us about, just send us all a message.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we love messages, and we read them all. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I haven't checked that email.
I don't think we have a lot, do we? Well, we'll discuss that later. We'll discuss that one later.
It's been such a long day.
Yeah.
So on that note, does anybody have any final thoughts?
This week I'm kind of quiet. I don't really have much to say this week.
It's been a quiet week. I've been watching my grandson and helping out with my grandson and working. About it. So I haven't really been anywhere.
I'm glad the kids are on vacation, and Huntington School District, the Blue Devils marching band performed at Disney today. Proud mom moment. My daughter went with the Huntington marching band. I think they took up the whole plane almost. I saw the photos.
Oh, wow.
Your video. There was so many of them.
So many. I was so proud, so proud. And I have to say, my daughter's had her challenges, and especially in regards to social and everything else. And she got on this plane and she went to Florida by herself. Well, not by herself, just a group, but I wasn't there. So,
not a family.
It's not really by herself, but
It is by herself.
She did it, and I'm going to pick her up tomorrow, and I'm just so excited, so proud for everybody. But wonderful experience, because, we all know when we go away somewhere, we grow, and we can't help it. So proud.
I can't help but to get all a little mushy when I see you, because you're just like this brute most of the time. Like, let's go. And then when you talk about the kids, you're so mushy, and I just feel like, oh my God, I'm having a mom moment. It's not even my
it's
kid,
so funny. My best friend in the world says everybody thinks I'm such a hard ass, but if you watch TV with me, I cry at commercials. So I have a heart of gold. And I'll make you cry too. Because if you don't cry, I'm going to beat you up for not crying with me. Oh. Anyways.
It's crazy.
We will be back with you guys next Tuesday. Yes. We usually come on Tuesdays, but I saw also on tonight's town board resolution thing that there's all these other calendar changes. So unless we're covering a town board meeting, we will see you every Tuesday at 8:00 p.m. And we hope everybody enjoyed tonight's Huntington View. See you next Tuesday, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, guys. See ya.
Good night.